The heat blistered his skin as he dragged himself through the wreckage, arms wrapped around the unconscious fox-haired alien girl limp in his grasp. Her fur smoldered, her armor plates cracked from the explosion, and her long tail hung like a scorched banner over his shoulder. The emergency beacon on his chest was fried. Of course it was. Every system failed, except his idiotic instinct to play hero. 1 minute he was hauling crates, the next he was sprinting into flame for a stranger with ears too cute to burn. Great! This is how I die. Carrying a girl who probably thinks humans smell like wet metal. She stirred faintly. He panicked and tightened his grip. Flames licked close again. He stumbled past the split support beam, half dragging, half lurching toward the airlock. It hissed open with a mechanical groan. Cold, sterilized wind met the smoke, and he collapsed forward, her cushioned form on top of him. Her tail coiled reflexively around his wrist. The rescue crew arrived seconds later. Their translator tech crackled with mutters he didn't understand. One pointed at him, another at the girl, then all of them froze like someone hit a pause button. The youngest among them dropped to one knee. A medic knelt beside the girl, scanned her vitals, then looked sharply at the way her tail remained wrapped around his forearm. She whispered something into her comm. The channel crackled open. Fire bearer confirmed. Initiate bonding alert. High matriarch must be informed. He blinked. Fire what? A tall male with braided silver fur stepped forward. You carried her through flame? She was dying. I didn't see anyone else volunteering. She lives. You carried her. Through fire. Skin to fur. Well, yeah, her clothes were burned. Look, I didn't mean to. The flames accepted you. So must the matriarch. That sounded religious. Or worse, official. He tried to sit up, but her tail pulsed tighter around his wrist, like a twitch of ownership. That was the first red flag. The second was the soft moan she let out just as the medics hoisted her off him. It wasn't pain. They scanned his vitals. Heart rate, wild. Blood pressure, same. Internal temp, rising. One of them chuckled. I didn't do anything weird, he shouted. She was on fire. A gloved hand offered him a robe, a thin, sheer one that barely qualified as fabric. Prepare for presentation, the medic said. You've been touched. Chosen. Touched? No, she fell on me. And she's got a tail, okay? It's got a mind of its own. He was escorted, politely, firmly, and with a lot of sideways glances, to what he assumed was an alien hospital. Only it had candles. Scented ones. Rosewood and something spicy. Why are there cushions? Why is everyone looking at me like I'm dessert? A hologram blinked on. A digital priestess in ceremonial garb spoke in 3 languages. Congratulations, Firebearer. The flame recognizes your courage. You now hold the right, and duty, to complete the tail bond. Refusal would dishonor the sacred line, and could trigger inter-house conflict. What does that mean? What sacred line? I just pulled her out of fire. A door opened. She stepped in, cleaned up, fur-fluffed, eyes glowing in low light. The Vulpine girl, no longer half-dead, now shimmered like a myth in motion. Her tail arched high, fluffy and full, and curved around her legs. I remember your arms, she said softly. He panicked again. It wasn't a hug. It was triage. She patted closer. Her voice was soft, but her posture predatory. My tail remembers you too. You gripped it, didn't you? Right here, near the base. He coughed. It was wrapped around my arm. I didn't grip anything. Also, you were on fire. She knelt in front of him. That's what makes it sacred. You didn't flee. You burned with me. You bore me. I really didn't mean to. Wait, did you just say bore like I gave birth to something? She smiled. Your scent lives in my fur now. The bond is real. He stared at the door. It didn't open. I want to leave. You can't. He stood. I'll run. You won't get far. The others are already preparing your ceremony. My mother is on her way. Your mother? She smiled wider. She's very traditional. And very powerful. She will want to see your mating posture. He froze. There's a posture? Yes. She will inspect it personally. He sat back down. Fast. Okay. Let's just say for a second I did accidentally, tail bond. What does that mean? A date? A ceremony? A buffet? Closeness. Alignment. Touching often. Shared heat. For sinking. That sounds cuddly. I could handle cuddly. She leaned closer. We begin by licking. He tried not to pass out. Then the alarm chimed again. A regal voice spoke. The matriarch arrives. Prepare the fire-bearer. Strip him for judgment. He groaned. I should have just let the crates burn. He stood there in the shimmering ceremonial wrap that left nothing to the imagination, unless the imagination was into humiliation. The fabric felt like static-charged fog clinging to every wrong place. When the doors parted, the temperature dropped 10 degrees. She entered. The matriarch of the Vulpine houses. Silver fur laced with burning orange. Gold rings in each ear, taller than him, and carrying a carved staff that pulsed with some kind of psychic tension. Her eyes scanned him like a weapon being appraised for parts. She didn't blink. This is the one? Her voice carried the weight of verdicts. The daughter stood beside him now, posture formal, tail still twitching like it had a mind of its own. Yes, mother. He is the fire-bearer. I expected more muscle. The matriarch circled him once. And yet you carried her through flame. He tried to hold the wrap together. It didn't help. Ma'am, with all due respect, I didn't know I was signing up for tail-related obligations. The matriarch stopped. You entered the fire. You touched the sacred zones. You survived the fluff. I was just trying not to die. Her tail latched onto my wrist. I didn't even know what it meant. Intent is irrelevant. Heat marks acceptance. Your scent imprinted in her fur during crisis. You are now bonded. He gulped. Is there a consent form for that? The daughter cleared her throat. Mother wishes to determine if he is worthy of completion. He blinked. Completion of what? The life bond, the matriarch said flatly. Physical, spiritual, ceremonial. All parts must be proven. I thought it was symbolic, he shouted. You know, like a handshake or awkward eye contact. The matriarch raised her staff. Silence. Present the proof. An attendant brought forth a glowing tablet. It played back thermal footage from the fire, him carrying the girl, holding her close, her tail coiling tighter as he stumbled through debris. See, she said, tapping the screen. Tail wrapped 4 times. That denotes acceptance. And here, watch his face. It zoomed in on his expression. Half burnt, half shocked, and unfortunately, slightly aroused. That was heat stroke, he cried. Not a mating reaction. The matriarch ignored him. Initiate the bond testing. Suddenly, he was guided, no, corralled, into a small circular chamber where heat lamps buzzed to life overhead. The daughter stepped inside too, now dressed in something that looked like war silk and lingerie mated. What is happening? He hissed. We will simulate shared heat. If your responses align, the bond is authentic. I don't know what that means. She smiled. Just let your instincts speak. Her tail brushed his arm, light teasing. Then another touch across his stomach. Wait. This isn't, hold on, does this count as flirting? The chamber door clicked shut. Outside, the matriarch watched through a haze glass panel. Let the fluff reveal the truth. Inside, the daughter leaned close. Her breath was scented with something cinnamon spicy. If you wish to fail, say so now. I want to live. I don't want to fluff. She leaned closer. Too late. You already did. Her tail wrapped around his waist. He yelped. His wrap fell. Outside, a priest announced. The tail has looped the waist. Core intention confirmed. Bond resonance rising. Inside, he tried to back away and slipped, catching himself only to land face first into fur. I didn't do that on purpose, he screamed. She just purred. Her claws flexed, but gently. You are very honest. That's rare. I'm very confused. Is that attractive to you people? Yes. A voice buzzed over the speaker. Firebearer, prepare to present your tail response. I don't have a tail. The matriarch stepped into the chamber, unbothered by the intimacy. Then we inspect the secondary sign, arousal and proximity to the chosen. He turned red. I am not performing for your council. The daughter tilted her head. You already are. He looked down, betrayed by his own biology. Again. The matriarch finally cracked a smile. He is virile. Confused, weak in body, but strong in instinct. The bond will hold. I didn't agree to this. You entered the fire. That was your yes. Then I want to say no now. You may not. The fluff has chosen. He looked to the daughter. She tilted her head. You still smell like smoke. That's oddly pleasant. Another priest entered. Shall we proceed to tail nodding? What is tail nodding? The matriarch tapped her staff. You will learn. Slowly. He buried his face in his hands. I just wanted to move crates. That's it. A quiet life. No fur. No fire. No tail-based bondage. The daughter leaned in. You'll adapt. Or be overwhelmed. I'm already overwhelmed. Then you're halfway there. She licked his cheek. Slowly. Meaningfully. Outside, fireworks were prepared for the ceremonial tail tethering. Inside, he wondered if he should have just burned. He was dressed in what could only be described as a silk harness held together by honor and hope. The Vulpine ceremonial bonding outfit looked more like someone had tried to make lingerie out of battle flags. He tugged at one strap. It tightened something else. If I bend the wrong way, something's going to snap. Possibly me. An aide nodded approvingly. You wear the bond silks well. Very yielding. He didn't like how that sounded. Especially not with the tail-shaped shadow outside the doorway flicking back and forth like a metronome set to mate. The room smelled like incense and hot berries. The walls were padded, literally, with soft fabric meant to absorb excess heat and howls. He hadn't even touched her yet. The daughter entered with a slow, fluid glide. Her first shimmered brushed to near glow, her scent now deliberately stronger, vanilla, musk, and something else that hit his nervous system like a flirtatious electric shock. She stopped an arm's length from him and slowly turned, revealing a comb tucked in her tail. I brought the synchronization brush, she said softly. He nearly choked. What is that supposed to do? Help us align. Stroke for stroke. Tension for tension. You initiate from the base. I have so many objections. And yet, she purred, tail rising. Your scent says yes. I really wish you'd stop smelling me. She tilted her head. That's how we measure truth. Words are often dishonest. Sweat never lies. He stared at the brush. It shimmered with pheromone oils. What happens if I get this wrong? My tail fluffs involuntarily. And that would signal climax initiation. Of the bond? Of the heat. He took the brush like it was a live weapon. Hands shaking, he reached out, hesitated, and then started at the base of her tail. One slow stroke. Her body tensed. Her ears twitched. Her claws flexed, just slightly. That was acceptable, she whispered. He exhaled. Good. Great. I didn't trigger any alarms. She turned her head. Again. He repeated the motion, hands steadier now. Her breathing changed. Tail rose higher. I don't think this is how diplomacy works, he muttered. It is for us, she replied. Our treaties are always sealed in fur. A knock came at the door. Are the tails aligned? Getting there, he shouted. She moved closer, placed her paws on his chest. Shall we begin the tailbind twist? That's not a euphemism, is it? No. Do I need protection? Only if you plan to resist. I don't. I'm just trying not to go to jail. She wrapped her tail around his thigh. Slowly. Like a vine claiming territory. You've already been sentenced. Bond confirmed. You live with me now. I have rent to pay on Earth. Not anymore. You've been claimed under Vulpine Directive 33B. Fireborn partners are housed, fed, and fluffed. I don't even know what fluffing means anymore. It means this, she said, pulling him closer until their skin met. The brush clattered to the floor. Heat spiked in the room. The bonding light above turned orange, then pulsed red. Synchronization confirmed. The voice over the speaker said. Tail tension high. Proceed to next phase, imprint pressure. She smiled. Now you kneel. I'm human. We bend together. Why is this all so sensual? It's tradition. As he lowered himself, awkwardly, reluctantly, and with many popping joints, her claws gently rested on his shoulders. The tail completed a full circle around him. The chamber lights dimmed, replaced by ambient warmth. Outside, the matriarch nodded to the officiant. They have achieved partial tail fusion. Schedule the public nodding. He groaned. Public? The daughter leaned in and whispered. It's just symbolic. No actual penetration, unless the crowd requests it. What kind of culture is this? The kind that survives through passion. I'm just a logistics guy. I used to move boxes, not bond in front of royalty. She nuzzled his cheek. Now you move hearts. I think I'm going to pass out. You'll awaken fluff-bound. It's easier that way. He collapsed backward into the padded floor, breathing heavy, tail still looped around his waist. The ceremony chime rang once, gently, like a sensual alarm bell. Tail nodding countdown initiated. 24 hours until final merge. He looked up at her. What happens if I fail the final merge? Your scent will be revoked. Is that fatal? No. Just shameful. Your name would become unfluffed. He stared at the ceiling. Kill me now. He stood on the raised ceremonial platform, silk harness replaced with a full-body robe stitched in shimmering threads of flame orange and mating blood red. The tail ring hung around his neck like a noose disguised as jewelry. Below him, hundreds of Vulpine nobles sat in semicircles, their tails rhythmically swaying in approval or judgment. He couldn't tell which. Somewhere behind him, the daughter was preparing herself for the final tail nodding. Somewhere in his brain, every voice was screaming to run. But his legs wouldn't move. Probably because of the subtle, purring vibration in the platform, designed to keep fire-bearers relaxed before fusion. An elder priest stepped forward and handed him a scroll. You will now declare your intention to enter the tail union. Speak clearly. Avoid trembling. He unrolled the scroll. The words shimmered in 3 languages. He recognized none of them. I declare that I willingly submit my fluff to the flames of her tail-bound destiny? The crowd made a soft ah sound, like they'd all just witnessed something beautiful or embarrassingly honest. Maybe both. Was that right? He asked. Unorthodox, the priest said. But deeply submissive. Very mating compatible. The platform shifted. The daughter ascended, dressed in ceremonial armor that only covered her shoulders and maybe 10% of her body. The rest was fur, gleaming and freshly scented. Her eyes locked onto him with an intensity that had nothing to do with politics. Are you prepared? She asked. Emotionally? No. Legally? Apparently, yes. She stepped close. The tail ring levitated from his neck and slid itself onto the base of her tail with a metallic chime that echoed like a wedding bell from a hot fever dream. It has begun, whispered someone in the crowd. She curled her tail around his waist again. Tight. Final. He stumbled forward. Their bodies met. A surge of heat passed between them that had nothing to do with biology, and everything to do with terrifying ancient alien tech. Scent imprint locked, the priest announced. Final fusion phase requires mutual confirmation of compatibility. I don't know what that means, he muttered. It means, she said, brushing her lips against his ear, we now fluff in rhythm. Publicly. Before he could panic, the platform began to spin slowly, giving every angle of the crowd a clear view of the joining. He stood frozen while she performed what could only be described as a ritual tail dance around him, graceful, slow, with occasional bumps that were definitely not ceremonial. Her tail arched high, looped under his arms, behind his back, and then up around his chest like a coiling serpent claiming its prize. He tried to breathe. The crowd's tail sways had accelerated. Someone was singing. Someone else was panting. A third individual appeared to be sketching. Vividly. He whispered, I don't think I can go through with this. You already are, she said. You carried me through fire. Now I carry you through heat. The tail ring pulsed. A final golden shimmer covered them both. The crowd gasped, and then cheered as the ring dissolved into their skin, leaving a faint glowing mark on both their bodies. The mark was shaped suspiciously like two intertwined tails. It is done, the priest announced. Tail knot complete. Bond irreversible. May their fur never frizz in cold wind. More cheers. Chimes. A flute solo. And then the matriarch stepped forward, smug satisfaction in every step. You've done well, human, she said. Few survive the knotting with their sanity intact. Good to know, he muttered, legs shaking. If I collapse, is that normal? Yes. It's seen as a sign of full fluff acceptance. The daughter held him steady. We rest now. Tonight, the real knotting begins. He blinked. That wasn't the real? Tonight involves claws, she whispered. And fur oils. He looked to the matriarch. Do I get a choice? No, she said. You got the fire. She gets the rest. He sighed. At least tell me Earth will know I did something heroic. The matriarch tilted her head. You were already uploaded to the Galactic Hero Registry. Under Vulpine cultural category Mate-worthy saviors. You rank third. That's impressive. Who's first? A man who saved two sisters. Simultaneously. During molt season. Oh. The daughter leaned her head against his shoulder, tail coiling tighter. Ignore them. You're mine now. I was a warehouse tech, he whispered. I used to label boxes. Now, she said with a smile, you are labeled fire bearer. Tailbound. The chosen fluff. He groaned. I'll never live this down. You won't have to, she said. You're not allowed to leave the territory. Ever. He slumped forward, as the crowd began chanting his new name. Fluff bound. Fire bearer. Mate sealed. He closed his eyes. I hate how catchy that is.